welcome back to Get With The Programming. I'm Chase Ingram.
I'm Captain America.
And along with me is Bill Grumler.
Wolverine.
That was totally different.
I know. It's been a while. I feel like we haven't done one forever since we've been so consistent with them.
Well, it's been like a week, dude. That's it.
I know, but like we've been doing one every 2 or 3 days for months now.
That is true. That is true. But that was the first time out of probably 4 years that you went, "Hi, welcome to Get With The Program. I'm Chase Ingram." Blah 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 blah. Yeah,
I mean, unless I was like sick. I don't know. Maybe I'm still jet lagged. I'm not sure.
I don't know. Sound like you're about to say, "And these are our sweaty balls." Saturday Night Live one.
Oh man, there's so many comments so far, and I want to get to all of these. Oh, let's see. What are people saying? Oh, they're having just like their own discussion. Wake up, everybody. I should say it to myself. I don't know why. Today's felt like the longest day ever, and I'm only halfway through.
Dude, seriously.
I don't know. I have no idea why. Has it felt like a long? I mean, you're 2 hours behind.
Well, nah, I was gonna ask you. I mean, like, we're so used to like traveling all the time, and you're pretty good. Like I think we are pretty good at not having jet lag really get you.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's been a while since you were out and about. Did you feel it?
I did yesterday. I'm fine now. Like I came back, my flight. Oh, thanks so much. I am not Bill Grumler. I am Chase Ingram. I felt so my flight back. First of all, the European semifinal was just off the freaking chain.
The venue looked amazing,
dude. The venue was 7 months old. Tony Parker built it. Do you remember Tony Parker?
Wow,
he's a guard for the San Antonio Spurs forever from France.
Yeah.
I guess he had built that, or him, like he started the group or financed the group that built that arena. And it's next to this soccer stadium that is massive. And apparently it's like a really nice one or a famous one. And I'm bummed because there was 2 soccer games while I was there. One was a women's soccer game Friday night. Both games started at 9 o'clock at night, which was kind of cool, but a little challenging with like the work schedule.
I bet.
And it was women's Lyon versus Paris, which you would just think would be a great game to go to just from like city to city.
Yeah,
like
rivalry.
Dallas versus Houston.
Yeah.
Whatever. Like LA versus San Diego. And then the last night after the semifinals was over was like a huge match. I don't even know who was playing, but apparently it was just an amazing game. And I should have gone. The tickets were a little expensive. Plus, I just wanted to hang out with people post. But yeah, Brandy Stadium. It was super cool. But traveling back, I got stuck in London. So I flew through London. So I went Lyon to London to Dallas. And it's like an hour and a half to London and then 9.5 to Dallas. I had a 4-hour layover in London. But then when I got to the gate, there was... oh, by the way, I met our rising.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, twice.
Nice.
First time, she just like rolled up and was just like super casual. Was like, "Hey, how's it going?" I was like, "Hey, how's it going?" And we're just talking. And then she like posted on her stories like, "Hey, saw Chase." I'm like, "You son of a bitch! You didn't even tell me."
Seriously, you guys. Hey, if you ever run into us, don't expect that we know who you are. Like we'll see the names.
Yeah.
But we know you guys just as names. So like you see our faces all the time, but we don't necessarily see your faces all the time.
Yeah, you got to say first
say
name
who you are.
and then your YouTube handle.
Right, totally.
So that was so then she came back and it was cool to talk to her.
Oh, that's cool.
It was cool to run into a lot of people. I thought it was super fun. I mean, people, especially over there, like you'll never see in person.
Yeah.
That was really cool. But so there's a 4-hour layover, which is fine. I just got I got some lunch with Brian Friend actually. Oh. And then once I got there, it was like push back a half hour. And by this time, if I'm leaving at 4:30, I'm getting in at 9 p.m. So this is still Monday. Gets pushed back a half hour, and then I was like, all right, whatever. And then it gets pushed back an hour, like 10 minutes later. I'm like, well, that's starting to suck, getting home at 10 o'clock on a Monday. And then it was pushed back an hour and a half, 10 minutes later, and then 2 hours, and then 2.5, and then 3. Within 30 minutes, this flight is 3 hours behind. So now you're talking 7 p.m. departure time in London. And I'm like, this flight's getting canceled for sure. First of all, it's a Boeing.
Awesome.
Maintenance issues. I'm like, honestly, I don't even want this plane to take off now.
That's how I feel on those things too. It's like maintenance. I'm like, then just please get us another plane.
Yeah,
Don't tell
please.
me you're gonna put tape on it and make it better.
Yeah, it was great. And then so I go up to the desk and I was like, hey, just so I can prepare myself and my wife at home, if this flight gets canceled, what's the protocol here? It's like, well, you get a hotel, we rebook you, and then you come back tomorrow. I was like, tomorrow, like same flight, same time, or something early? It's like usually something early. But the thing I wasn't looking forward to at all was sitting in a line of 400 pissed off people getting all that taken care of. So like if it got canceled, I'm like, I'm just going to go eat dinner. I'll be back in an hour, whatever. Somehow, some way, we got off I think this was about 5:45 at the time, so we're already an hour and a half behind. They come on the speakers like, hey, we're good to go. We're boarding in 10 minutes. And they're like, someone excited, someone a little nervous, but I was just glad I got home. I got home at like midnight. I didn't get bed till 2 because like I've been gone for 5 days. I got to deload and talk about the weekend with Ashley. And actually, I don't know if I've said her name on the podcast before.
Yeah, you have.
Have I?
Yeah.
I usually say my wife. That felt
I think
weird.
You said it. Well, I think I've seen it, but maybe it's because I always see the "Hey Ashley's" on your Instagram.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, it's not like she doesn't exist.
Right.
But yeah, so anyway, I got home 2 a.m. Long story short, to your point, is like I never really get jet lagged because I do the stay up until I collapse type system. So when I go out to, the other way, where you lose 8 hours, I'll stay up because you land in the morning. I left at 3 in the afternoon. I landed in Lyon at 10 a.m.
Yeah, you're up. You got to be up that day,
right? And I don't want to go to sleep because if I like nap during the day or I sleep on the plane and I'm landing in the morning, it totally just throws me off. So I just stay up for like 36, 40 hours and I just crash. On the way back, it's a little bit trickier, even though landing at night's kind of nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, yesterday I felt it for like the first time. I went to bed at like 8:30 last night.
I wonder if that's an age thing. I mean, because it's funny, dude, because you literally took my traveling setup, delays, and all that kind of
cancellations,
stuff. I'm listening to your talk, and I'm like, yeah, that sounds pretty normal. What's the problem?
If you guys don't know, Bill is like if you were in LA and you were taking a trip to New York and you see Bill Grundler and Tommy Marquez are on your flight, get a new flight.
Get another plane.
Just get another plane because Bill's travel woes are legendary. And most recently, Tommy's has because he's been talking about on Talk Elite Fitness every once in a while. So if they're both on the plane, that plane's probably going down. Like it can't get any worse than their travel. So the only thing that can with both of the Black Angels of Death on your plane is just the plane will crash. So just letting you guys know, if they're both on your flight, get off.
Get off.
I would final destination warning.
I don't even get angry. That's so funny. I don't even get mad.
You don't really get mad at anything.
It's a delay, and I'm like, of course it is.
Right.
Of course there is.
I usually don't care either. People were getting so mad. And you know what was even more annoying? Like people were on the flight mad. I get if you have connections.
Yeah.
Right? But we're going to Dallas. You were landing at 9 p.m. I don't know what connecting flight you had in DFW at 10. Probably 0 since the airport kind of closes down right around that time. It's like we're all getting to our final destination late. But the pilot comes on. He's like, hey, we apologize to the delays and the maintenance. And I just see these old, it's just a bunch of old white guys just shaking their heads. I'm like, guys, we're on the plane. This thing was supposed to leave an hour and a half ago. If it didn't get canceled, it's an hour and a half earlier than we thought. We're going home. Like, chill out.
Totally.
People just get so upset. I mean, it's the same people that get pissed off in traffic. Like, I don't enjoy traffic and I don't like being late to anything. But at the same time, it's like, what are you going to do? It is what it is. Anyway.
That's funny.
Europe was awesome.
Yeah, but it looked amazing. I was, from watching it, I mean, I don't know how it felt when you were there, but from watching it, it felt very Madison Coliseum like.
Oh yeah.
Like the stands went up kind of high. At least that's what it looked like.
Mm-hmm. I would say it was
kind of on the floor.
Yeah, very, very close to that.
Yeah.
Just newer, smaller, but packed.
Okay.
There's 5,000 tickets being sold, and then there's a community event going on, and there's like another 2,000 people just around. There was one point in time where the community event had to close off people coming in to watch because it became a fire hazard.
It would have been cool if they would have shown a little bit of that, like kind of sprinkled it in. Like maybe they did. I didn't see it from what I was watching. I mean, because the time frame. Like, I'm sorry. I mean, I love you, dude, and I love CrossFit, but I'm not staying up all night long to watch CrossFit. I'm just not gonna do it.
Right.
That's why they have it on repeat.
Yeah.
So I can come back and get the highlights. But it would have been really cool to see that, especially just on a CrossFit community sort of level. I mean, we know that, that this is the sports side of CrossFit that we're watching. We're watching the tip of our spear and all that kind of stuff. But the fact that they have a community event to be able to just show some of it, not even highlight the winners or anything, not anything about the winners, but to show the people that are out there doing stuff and show the crowd of everyone supporting those people. I think that would have been pretty cool to see.
I agree. Greg, speaking of no patience, can we get to the real topic? No.
Whoa, dang, dude. Ease up, bro. We're here to hang out.
Yeah.
Let's hang out, bro.
Hanging out. It's been quiet out there on YouTube today because pretty much everybody else that goes on YouTube today are going to Carson, California.
Yeah.
Which I'm jealous. I will not be there.
Yeah.
And someone's question earlier, Europe was my last one for semifinals. So one and done for the week.
There you go.
Or weeks, I guess. But man, I'm pumped I got to go to that one.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
But if you guys are still on the fence, if you're in the area, go to Carson. Please go there. You are missing out if you've never been. You are missing out if you've been before and are on the fence again. Go there because it's one of the, if not the best CrossFit venue ever in the history of the sport.
You have to remember.
Okay, Bill, you can continue your story.
I didn't realize you were getting it. That was a good cut. But you guys have to remember the nostalgia of that arena. I mean, the ranch is where we started. But even Dave said it, like where CrossFit, the sport, grew to giganticism was in Carson. It wasn't at Madison. Madison kind of carried us over, and not that Madison was bad. And there's a lot of really good things that happened at Madison for the sport. But what grew our sport from the backyard barbecue to the sport that we know and love is Carson, California. And there is, going to the tennis stadium is like going to Mecca. It's like going to the holy ground. And just to see it and to feel the history, just being there is really, really cool. So if you have not been there, you've got to get yourself to go. You got it.
Yeah. I would say like Aromas is, not to steal your phrase, but like Aromas birthplace, 2007, 2008, 2009. You can kind of consider that Mecca, right? The Holy Lands.
Yeah.
The garage. Carson, California, that's where we like blossomed.
Yeah, and that's where it grew.
That's where we grew. That's where we changed everything. Because in 2007, 2008, it's like, hey, this is pretty cool, right?
It's
like looking around. Is everybody else having fun? This is kind of neat. We should keep doing this.
Right? Bring some more beer. Go get some more beer.
You get to Carson that everybody was hating on. Yeah. You guys want to hear hate? The move to Carson, California was probably when like everybody turned heel.
Oh man, we like to complain anyway, but that was like, what do you mean you're not bringing it to the ranch? It's got to be the ranch. How dare you move it away?
And there, from 2010 to 2016, was just growth and community building, and legends were being formed. And then when we got to Madison,
I was gonna say real fast, thanks Sean from Bubs, because that's how we got that.
Yes, thank you, Sean.
That was all Sean.
Thank you, Barry.
Naturals.
Barry,
boom.
who took me an explanation on the Savan podcast to like really pay attention to your name.
Did you not? How do you not know how does it? How you
I
guys
mean,
all
I
not
know
know
that
the name?
now, but in the first 6 months, I was like, okay, yeah. And then they said it. I was like, oh.
Oh my
So
gosh.
appreciate that. Yeah, for 188 you guys watching, by the way, thanks for joining the show. We really appreciate it. We're going to dive into a couple topics here in a second, just for Greg's sake, if he's still around. But ways you guys can help us, become a member. That's freaking awesome. If not, like, subscribe, because every person that subscribes to this channel is just a bonus to allow us to do more of this. So we don't say it often, but it does go a long way. Just liking it, subscribing, like you guys, it really does help tremendously. So thank you guys for joining us. But yeah, Carson's coming up. However, Europe, Asia, both happened this weekend. I don't know too much about what happened in Asia, other than they had that, which I called the Mario Kart track 800-meter run course.
You mean the airport security line?
The airport security.
That's what I saw the whole time.
Oh,
Like
it looked like
it was the Extendo shuttle run.
Yeah, it looked like
it
the
was.
queue line, and then like everybody, it's like when the amusement park opens right at 10 a.m. and then everybody's sitting there and they want to go to like the most famous ride, and everybody's just like running back and forth to get there.
Yes, I couldn't believe
hilarious.
it.
But I'm so pumped that for the Asia semifinal, I cannot believe this happened. After all the Inside the Leaderboard shows, in all the jokes and funny things we talked about, that I got to pull this up, because they're taking 3 this year, and regardless of how you feel about it, which that came up a couple times in Europe.
I'm sure it did.
Of all the women to qualify, frickin' Dewan Young
I know.
qualified for the CrossFit Games.
It was so perfect.
Who sent that picture? It was like she was holding John Young for president or something like that, like after she qualified. That was so cool. So congratulations to Duan Young, or Zhang. And I hope when you come to the CrossFit Games in Fort Worth, I get to meet you. I would love to meet you. I've never been more excited to meet an individual games athlete like you before. And I'm being genuine, partly because I don't care to meet anybody at the games, but you, and I need a picture with you, and I need a picture with John Young.
Oh man, what dude? It's like that's the culture that's been built through our shows. You know, like this show and Sevon's show, and with John on all the show. It's been so, like, to me, what's fun about that is the connection that we've had between here it is, the sport, and then all of us talkers out here.
Yeah,
you know, pushing everybody. So that, I think it's awesome. I think
it'd be cool. Yeah, and if any guys are in Fort Worth, like what we said at the top of the show, please find us. You know, most of the time I'm a little busy doing certain things, so please, I want to meet every single one of you guys in person, because it's some of the most fun things we can do, is to finally, like, we talk with each other all the time, and I hope you guys feel like you are a part of the conversation, because if you're not in the comments, it doesn't engage with us as much as we would love to. See, Judy, this is why I love Judy. She says all the things that are in my head, but she can get away with it. So thank you, Judy. Yes, Asian John Young. Or the way an Asian would say John Young, I think, was the joke we made about Duan Young. And so, yes, Wad Zombie, I wish I was in Carson. I wish I was in Carson. I just said that 3 times, so you guys could probably pick up on how much I wish I was going there. But yeah, so what, 3 women, 2 men? Is it just one team? I think coming out of there.
Yeah.
And the Kalashnikov team, that might not even be right. I'm just like saying AK-47, but I think that's close, right?
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I really didn't watch the teams that much on that one. Like I said, the timing was interesting and hard to watch. But what I will say is this, and I was actually talking to John Young about this. The commentators that they had for the Asian Throwdown they were so fired up. Like, it was watching. I felt like I was watching a Karate Godzilla movie.
It's the best part. I don't even know what they're saying, but I know what they're
no idea what they were saying.
You know what I mean?
And what was crazy was, okay, so, we've been doing the commentating thing a long time. We understand that there's this dance between the play-by-play and the color, and how they're supposed to be kind of dancing back and forth. And, the play-by-play will kind of kick something up, and the color gives the hows and the whys, and then lets it go, and then the play-by-play talks about the what and all that stuff going through. I don't think they got the descriptions of who was doing what, because all I heard the entire time was two people yelling very loud all over each other. It's like the whole time. It was so funny. It
It's
was
so
so
great.
funny, but it hyped you up. I didn't know what the hell they were talking about, but it was, man, it was really.
There's that scene in Talladega Nights. Like, I don't know what they're saying, but I love it.
And I love it. It was fun.
Yeah. Gordon's totally right, because in Europe, I think they had 4 different streams in different languages. I think they had Spanish, French, maybe Italian, German, or they had multiple language going at the same time.
Wow.
Which is really cool. Really cool. Like, I love having, because look, I mean, not everybody speaks English, nor should they. You live in different parts of the world. It's your country. It'd be really cool to have it simulcast in different languages so more people can watch and enjoy it.
Remember they did that the first year? When
Yeah.
they did the world stream.
Oh, the world stream.
Yeah.
You mean 2019?
Yeah, and everyone can just kind of hop onto it.
Steven Flores, CrossFit HQ needs a Mexican commentator. Yeah, nothing beats like a good goal call. Melanie, thank you. I will say this. So a couple things is the podcast coverage on a Friday. I don't know how that came across. Did the best I could with what we had. I really enjoyed being there for that. It was really important that I could be in a position to help facilitate and manage and moderate the podcast coverage for Friday, because I know that was a huge point of contention and confusion as to what that's going on. I hope people like that they could still see something. We can comment on it. It will be improved as weeks go on, and that's why I wanted to be there first, is really stress test the whole thing as best we could. And I had fun on it.
Dude, I honestly liked the podcast version better than the broadcast version.
Really?
And because
I was get to chill.
yeah, because you had a lot more fun. You can tell that, like, okay, I mean, there was an era of, well, okay, it's not going to be this shiny object. We're just kind of going to make this. We're going to make this fun. And you guys were having a lot more fun. I mean, granted, you had time to do that because of the run that was happening, so you had time to be able to do that. But you guys had a lot more fun during that time than you did during the other parts of the competition. Like, you can't have the same kind of fun. And this isn't a negative on it, but like,
it's different.
When you guys are doing the broadcast and you have Adrian Bosman on there, like, you can't really loosen up the same way that you would want to because of who you have in there. I mean, you got HQ in there. You have the game staff in there. You have the people that this is their job, trying to put this whole thing together. So you want to do the best job for them. And not that you weren't doing that on the first day, the podcast version, but it was, dude, it was so much fun. A lot of interacting with people on the comments. It was a podcast version of that. And it was awesome.
Okay.
It was awesome.
Also, those of you guys that are in the chat, thank you so much for the comments right now and the kind words. And shoot, thank you. Did you watch Around the Whiteboard yesterday?
I didn't get a chance.
For Coffee Pods and Wads?
Who was on it?
He had a question about broadcast duos. I guess it was who was your favorite?
Okay.
And you guys were way too nice to me. I mean, I submitted Chase and Bill, obviously, right off the bat. But
boom.
That was really cool. And I text Pager later. I was like, hey, I mean, he's like, I just asked the question. I didn't steer the conversation, but it was really cool. And Colton Mertens, who I just watched Kill Taylor today because I couldn't watch it. Did you see?
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
And Colton Mertens coming in and then talking trash with his headphones in, and you can hear him during the workout.
Dude, it's so cool. I love what that dude is doing. It's so I don't expect it to come from him like
What?
that.
Yeah, Colton. What he's doing right now, I think, is what we have been hoping other athletes would do for like the last decade.
Yeah.
Just mix it up, but like legitimately mix it up. Not be afraid to it to pan out or not. But he was very complimentary towards me, and I just want to thank Colton for that. Like
Cool.
that was unnecessary, but it was really cool. And watching all that back, I mean, Bill knows me. It meant a lot, and if it means a lot to me on an emotional level, I get emotional about it. I'm not going to talk any more about it because
Andy cried.
I do cry. I did get. Yeah, I did. It was weird. Anyways, it does not go unnoticed. Like when you guys are, I really do appreciate it. So yeah, thank you, and thank you for guys who are watching. But it's the one part where the hardest part of it was in the two events that had the running, the 800-meter course for both teams and individuals. So if you think about it, it's 4 heats of men where they would leave the arena 5 times for 3 minutes. Same for the women. So that's 8. Same thing for the teams, and that's 3 more. So 11 times 5, right? 55 times people stopped being able to see anything on the stream. Wad Zombie. Athletes used to put their personalities out there. Now all you get is, hey, this guy, but that. And yeah, it's really cool that Colton's out there being real. So I respect you. Thank you, Barkley. But so before those events took place, they came to me and they go, how do you want to cover the runs? I was like, do we have a camera on the run course? They're like, no. I was like, okay.
It's like they answer their own questions. How do you want to cover it? You have a camera to cover it?
Well,
no.
Basically, they gave me 2 choices. We can either keep it on the floor while they're gone, and you guys can just talk off camera, or we can bring you on camera during that time. I'm like, I'll be honest with you. The last thing I think anybody here is watching would like to see a way too close-up camera shot of me and the person that I am calling it with. But I didn't know if they just didn't want to see nothing and just hear people talking like, where is everybody? So they put us on camera every time they left. Now, fortunately enough, like towards the last round or two, the leader would eventually catch somebody that was in, so we didn't have to go on 11 times. But the worst part was, this is fine, I think, if you're watching on YouTube, we're here, but they would put us, there was this huge Jumbotron in the middle of the arena. It was massive. And then they had 3 video boards that were equally massive. So every time they left, it was it was just us there. And so you're like trying to look at the camera that's pointing at you, but then you're like, there's my giant dumb face talking.
Well, yeah, and you guys were right on the side there, so you were right above the venue and can see that big, massive Jumbotron.
It was right in front of us, just a little off to the left. Like it was basically directly in front of our faces. So
that's crazy. But it was super fun, and I'm honestly glad they did that. I mean, like with the interaction of all the people that watch all of the podcasts in our space now, like I know we aren't used to seeing our massive faces on the screen, but everyone else is used to seeing that. So it was fun. And the thing is, like, we got to see that right there. So you would say something, you'd fall back, you'd laugh. And the other thing, I mean, honestly, for Lucy, like,
it was the best thing to get her in on the podcast.
100%. It forced her into being like let's just talk and have some fun. And that was how she could have some fun. And I think that like that was something that she needed for her. Yeah. Especially going into the rest of the weekend. Like she needs to be used to talking to you, dude. If she's not talking, then you're stuck talking.
You know that, right?
And if we do that, like it's like, hey, you're not gonna pick up the ball. Well, okay, I'm a talker. I'm going then, and you'll go. Yeah. So she needs to know that like she can hop in. So I think that was a good way to really kind of get her feet wet.
It was cool. It was it was great. She arrived later because she wasn't broadcasting until Saturday. So I came in on a Thursday. I had to set up the audio stuff for the podcast, which connected to the video stuff that the media team was doing. So Emily O'Hearn was running that with Haynes and Neil, and they were setting up that. So it was a bit different format. Obviously, they used a much better camera feed than we had, which, anything better than a cell phone was an upgrade. So that was cool. I do believe they'll are trying to get at least the runs covered for next week. That Adrian Conway will be taking over for that, which I think will be huge, right? That to make up something to talk about while we have no idea what's going out. But the worst part of that, there wasn't a worst part. I really did enjoy being in that position. It was just super fun. We could be laid back. I would pull up YouTube in the middle of it because we can't see the comments like this. It was a different system. So I would pull up YouTube and see people commenting and then just like either talk crap to someone talking crap or just have some fun.
Great. That made it so fun.
It was super fun. But these comments, Barkley, that's all it takes, or Nick. The question was, honestly, Chase, how annoying is it to say those ads heat over and over? So at the start of every heat, it was required of me to read this one card. And like, you got to read at the beginning of the heat. I'm like, every heat? Like, every heat. I'm like, I have to read this card to start every heat? Like, yes, you do. I was like, okay. And I mean, they're joking. Every heat, dude, was just the start of it. And I saved the card. So I brought it home with me I hope they don't need it next week because I hear them. There's like 15 ad cards. You gotta, hey, Go Watch coming up and Go Ruck.
Yeah.
All the goes. And I took it off this clip. I was like, I'm keeping this card. I've said this card 100 times this weekend. Maybe not 100. But yeah, it was great. It was super fun. I thought Lucy did fantastic. Like for her first time stepping into that role, and not Friday. I mean, Friday she was good, but like for the weekend, and she got just, how it goes. It gets more and more comfortable.
Right.
You
Takes
start
a little
to figure it out, right? Because I think in the beginning she's like, "Oh, can I just say what I want?" I'm like, "Yes, please."
Yeah.
Right? And for a first time, never doing. I mean, you've been in that position too. Like, I thought she absolutely crushed it.
Yeah. She, there was someone on here that asked, I think it was Lito, that said something about she did it last year. And you guys got to understand, like one heat of an event does not mean that you now feel comfortable and the role. And there is a flow and a dance between the commentators to do that. And like I said, if we've been doing it a long time and we understand the space that needs to be filled, and if someone isn't picking up the ball when it's like handed to you, then we're going to pick it up and we'll run with it. So I could see, and I appreciated the fact that you could watch her get more and more comfortable as she was going. Like, I mean, I wanted her to say more, like, Lucy,
Same.
get in Chase, like, not hit Chase and tell him to shut up and get in there and talk about all the things that is happening. So that you can give, like, that's your job. You're giving color. Why are they doing that? How are they doing that? What should they be doing? Chase is going to say who's in the lead and, where the transitions are and all the type of things, but like, use that expertise as an athlete, to get out there. So I think she did really, really great. And it was really fun to watch her improve each of the days that she did it as well. So, I mean, that was huge.
And she was awesome with feedback too. And that was like the exact feedback I gave her after like the first half of the first day. I was like, hey, listen, like, don't wait for me to engage you to bring something in. And once she did, dude, she's just so natural, like naturally flow with the conversation, engagement with the event. Like, she speaks well. She's engaging. I mean,
you want to know when it was crazy? Her energy level started coming up. Mm-hmm. Dude, like, I love Boz. I love that guy. I've been listening to that dude. I mean, he was one of my level 2,
he's my level 2 instructor.
I mean, this guy's been around. Like, I just love listening to him, love watching him, love talking to him. But there's a massive race going on, and he's talking like this. It's like, I'd rather,
that's Boz. Yeah,
it's like, God, come on, man! Like, get fired up. Like, I know how we get nutty, me and you. Like, if we're out there, like, we get loud. And it was hard to hear your hype. Lucy trying to get there, and Boz just was like, oh. down here. It was hard to hear.
Judy's question was a last minute addition of Lucy or impromptu. So I think originally they wanted Mads to cover Collar. Because, like, if you think about broadcasts in Europe, like Mads Jacobsen is the guy, right? Like, he's the godfather of European CrossFit. That's Mads Jacobsen. And he knows everybody. Just casually. In fact, he knows more statistics and info about judges and volunteers and directors than he does the athletes. Like, we're talking about, Amelia Lampinen, like, moving ahead. He's like, but our judge, so-and-so, was this person at their level 1 and have this. Is like, how do you know all these people? And he just does. And Matt's going to make it. I think his brother was getting married. So
Oh, wow.
I called the powers that be for these decisions. And I was like, go get Lucy Campbell. Like, go get her. I don't know what she's doing, if she's available, but I thought she did such a good job last year in the small sample size that we had on the podcast coverage that we did and her deal on the broadcast coverage. It was like, go get her. And they did, which was really cool, actually. And they made a great choice. And I'm glad she stepped up. I know she wants to compete. I know she wants to go back, right? Her debut at the CrossFit Games, she won 2 events. If anybody watched Jeopardy last week, which she commented on. It's like, nobody remembers me. And I hope she has success. But if she wants to go this path, I think it is right there if she wants it. I don't even it's a question of like, I hope they call her back. I think it's a product of, if she wants to do it, then she will be great.
And we need to have another good female commentator in there.
We do.
And I don't mean someone that's got
not a female commentator, a good one.
It's right, exactly. It's not the fact of female. It's someone that understands the sport, and especially as a color commentator, understands how to compete. Knows what they're talking about. Why are they doing it? Give me the whys and the hows. I don't want to hear. I don't want a news voice. I want a coach. I want an athlete. I want someone who's telling me what's up. That's what that person's supposed to be doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely not Barry. CrossFit, I think you're somewhere in the broadcast space. You're saying some like keywords. Would Hagia be on this week if she didn't qualify? I think Jamie would be great either on a sideline role, which she has done, or
desk.
Yeah. Maybe team stuff, but she wasn't really a team athlete. I know she had done team a little bit, but she's more of an individual. I'm pumped for Jamie. I can't wait to see her compete. She'll be competing this weekend. But yeah, so that was great. We'll see. Yeah, Bella will be this weekend. I think she's doing sideline at Torian. Mark Moss, did you get a haircut? Yes, I did. MLK guy. No, MLK. Either way, MLK, whether he likes it or not. I don't know what that means. Book a Carson flight. Yeah. You guys got to remember, it's like I've got family and kids, and just leaving for funsies has passed me by. Let's talk a couple things about Europe. One, Lazar Djukic wins his 3rd straight semifinal. He's the king of Europe at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
And I think he needed to show it at the games. But if you look at his games performance and you think of like, who is the greatest European male athlete of all time? It's BKG.
BKG.
Without question. I know Miko won the games, but it is BKG. The dude just qualified for his 11th consecutive CrossFit Games. No one in the history of the sport has done that. 0. Think of all the history we've had in the sport. Not one single person has qualified for. I know a couple people have gone to 11 and maybe even 11 consecutive, but 0 of them either did it all individual. Masters does not count. Team does not count. It's not even close, or they got invited. BKG has just made history for his 11th consecutive. And then he's the king, right? He is the greatest European CrossFitter on the men's side of all time. Lazar's won the last 3 semifinals. And at the games, he's got 9th, 8th, and 9th. 3 top 10 consecutive finishes. And he looks good. And I think for the first time, what is cool is he talked about Luca, his brother, qualifying. And then he finally got to celebrate it for the first time.
Dude, could you imagine that? Like, I wonder if that's going to change how he performs because he's able to perform without the little bit of brother guilt.
Yeah.
That will be interesting.
And maybe that freedom when he's training for the games, maybe even better.
Yeah.
Because, like, listen, you gotta put your blinders on. You're an athlete, time to go to work, time to get prepped for the games. But if you get to do it with your brother, I mean, you know about that. You competed with Jim.
Yeah. No. It is
I call him
a.
Jim. You
It's
call him
a.
Jim. I call him
I
James.
call him.
I figured I'd lean into it.
I think that there is something extra special. And you're right. There's a freeness because now you feel like the space is yours, and I mean, like, your clan. And those guys obviously have been. I mean, seeing the emotion between those two for the last couple years, where one's
Yeah.
in, one's out, like that is. You want to be proud about qualifying, and it's really hard when your brother's right there and you did and they didn't. Like, that's a tough thing to do. So the
You
fact that
watch
they're
their dreams get crushed, especially in 22.
yeah.
Where he lost it at the end and he was
Right.
in a qualifying position.
Yeah, so I think that the governor's off the system now between with those guys, and I think Lazar is going to do some amazing. Let me ask you this: do you think he's going to be kind of the like the European Scott Panchik?
Lazar?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Like, do
That's a
you
good
see
question. Like
him
never
on the?
podiuming, but just
I
always
mean,
going.
like, I don't know if he'll make. I don't know if he will make the podium, but he'll
Mm.
always be right in that realm, like a couple spots off, which is kind of always what Scott was.
Yeah.
Good
Good question. I mean, if you think about who he's in peak competition with, Pat Vellner, Brent Fikowski, Justin Medeiros, Ricky Garrard, obviously all these people have to make it back.
Right.
Jeff Adler, Roman Krennikov, and now you're throwing Dallin Pepper in the mix, who just got 5th.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that podium spot is pretty hard to get to.
Dude, it's so crazy.
And I think harder than ever before.
I think this will be one of the tightest in the top 10 that it's been in a long time. Top 10, top 12.
Yeah, CrossFit BKG he's made the podium. He's been third a couple times.
Yeah.
We'll see. Crazy. I think he has the potential, but man, that's a good question. Really good question. On the flip side, on the women's side, as I hit my mic, what was your takeaway from Laura's weekend? Because the question is like, she's been quiet in the off season. She won Rogue, which Tia was head to head with, but Tia was like postpartum to what, 6 months maybe? Right. Still had to it came down to the end. And the question is like, can Laura or can Tia, whatever, like, can they take it to each other at the games? And I think everybody's starting to lean towards Tia. Once like Tia's getting healthier, I know the wrist thing, but that seems to be all but gone. But who knows if they're playing that close to the vest?
Right.
How did Laura's performance this weekend resonate with you as far as what that may project what we'll see in Fort Worth?
What I saw with Laura was the fact that she did not look peaked here and still looked dominant.
That is a great phrase, because I think you're right.
I mean, she looked like everyone saw like the first run, like, oh, 7th, she's down there. Gabby's up there at the tops. Gabby's up and running. I mean, okay, I would never pick her for a long distance run event like that.
No,
so
she's not a bad runner though.
No, not a bad runner, but she got 7th. I mean, that's about where we would probably put her.
Here's the thing. She got 30th at the Open semifinals last year with all the machines and the sled pulls, of which, honestly, looking at that,
she would have done better at that one.
I thought she would have had a top 10, top 5 performance in the one last year. Not so much this year. She finished about where I thought she would have been.
Right. And then after that, it's like all like the next the lowest score is a third, 2 firsts and 2 seconds and a third.
Yeah.
Like
Well, make Augusta
dominating. And
happy and
she
pull up the
didn't
leaderboard.
even I don't know. I mean, what do you think? I did it just
First,
looked like
third.
she was cruising.
You know what? That's
Looked
what it
like she
was.
was
And I think what
cruising.
people were hoping for and had said is like, we need to make sure that Laura comes out with a statement, just a dominating, hey, just, yeah, no one's just going to walk over me to take my championship from last year. And you're right, because watching her do it and you go back and look, is like, all right, we opened the weekend with a 7th. And then we went first, third, first, second, second. That is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it never looked, I know she was winning and doing whatever, but you're right. It never looked like she was just out there smashing anybody, but it also didn't look like she was trying to until that row handstand event when here's the thing, she took it to everyone, including most of the dudes on that last 800-meter row. She's pulling 145. Like, I thought, honestly, that was the biggest statement she had all weekend when you saw your monitor. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's an
Yeah.
800-meter, and she's just pulling a 145 to 147 in everyone's face.
Yeah.
She wasn't super fast on the handstand walk because she was blowing people out of the water on the row, and you couldn't see that.
But like, so you saw the monitor, and I love that they did this. They showed the monitor, and you were like going off about how fast she was pulling, how hard she was pulling. Then they'd show her face, and it mellow. Like, I'm cruising right now. I'm good.
Yeah.
That was I kind of liked that. Everyone was talking about having to make the statement.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that's always impressed me about Laura is she does not let the tempo of what outside people determine what she should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, I mean, she knows what the goal is. Like, this is not the goal. The goal is to win the games and to beat Tia at the games.
Right.
And so it would be a disservice to her if she put so much pressure to have to do well here, because all of us out here is like, she needs to put a flag in there and look, I'm still coming and I'm still good because Tia's going to win. So I need to show. She doesn't need to do that. And I don't think, at least from the outside looking in, like she's always so quiet about that stuff. Like, you don't see it. And I love that. I love that.
Do you think, since it's like, oh, she looked bored, she looked whatever, and none of that means she didn't look good?
I don't know. She looked great, but she looked like she wasn't
a bigger statement.
Yes.
That she didn't be like,
like I did. Yeah, totally. I did.
It's like, yeah, I won. Cool.
It was, yeah. I was like, this is your competition. This is your event. Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. I still crushed everyone, and I'm not even breathing hard.
I feel like that almost, instead of, say, challenges Tia, and look, guys, we're going to talk about this because we're in the media space, but almost just puts the ball in her court.
It does. 100%.
And then you look at what Tia does with that. Should she also be as cavalier, or should she be more like, does Tia have to make a statement or anything? I don't think she does. She's won 6 in a row. She's coming back. We get it, but there's a little bit of that. And Tia gets to go in week 3. Laura went in week 1.
Yep.
And then we're going to play the game of who did better than who head to head based off the events, even though it's completely unfair in 2 different scenarios in competition, whatever.
Well, I think that Tia will have scores that will be better than Laura's on some of these. She's going to be doing her big chants, her big screams, because that's what Tia does. Mm-hmm. Because I also feel that, like, that's the way, just like we said, that's the way she beats her chest to show that I'm still the champ.
Right.
And I just see Laura just sitting back there, just like, go ahead. Mm-hmm. I'll see you.
Yeah.
And also to know, like, okay, what else could I squeeze out? Like, where could I have made up some time? What if I did these events a little bit different? Could I have gotten this much better over time? I mean, regardless of what the placing is, like, who cares if it was a second, you get a first? Like, that doesn't matter. But it's like, what was your result in that particular event? Like, where could you have squeezed it out? Mm-hmm. I'm anxious to see what Tia does because I agree that the ball is in her court now. Are you going to answer Laura's, or are you going to not care? And I don't know if she's going to be able to not care. I think she's going to be, I am still the champ. I am still the champ.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We will see. I'm very interested to see how that all goes down. But I thought it was very interesting. I did like the cavalier nature
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah.
Rebecca Vidison.
I knew that one was going to come up.
You're the best person to talk to. I already know what your answer is going to be, but this is I'll start with this. I heard a lot of loud noise coming from the back end of CrossFit about what happened and then how it was handled. But I didn't hear anything else, honestly, that dragged out for days about what happened to Rebecca Vidison. Are you surprised by that?
No, I don't think there was anything really like.
I think everyone's like this initial reaction, and then some people way overblew some certain things, and then it just like died down and it was gone, which I applaud the CrossFit community for not doing.
Yeah. I was actually on Jason CF Media. We did a podcast. It was me and John Young, Mike Halpin, and Margot, who hurt her elbow. She was
Sarah Cooper. I assume you mean after the show's over.
Right. Yeah. Margot Masset. From France. She hurt her arm.
Margot Masset.
Sorry, Masset. Margot Masset.
I don't even know that's how it is, but I was in Europe. I'm like, it's probably this.
It's probably that.
There's not a lot of hard R's and T's over here.
Right. And we talked about the idea of, should CrossFit allow athletes to continue if they get hurt? And you're right. I fell on a rope. I blew my ACL on a rope in a regional competition. It was this exact same setup of what was going on. Mm-hmm. The fact that she got hurt, I don't see that as any issue with CrossFit itself. Right. I do think it's funny that the athletes were stepping down from the box for safety's reasons, but then they have no safety protocol for coming down on the rope. Basically, you can drop down wherever you want to drop down, and it's up to you. I don't have a problem with it, but it seems kind of odd to me if we're talking about safety. So the rope was short. It wasn't sitting on the ground. Rope. So it wasn't that. It was just her coming down, and shit happens. Right. Like, I get it. I totally think she should have had the option to continue if she wanted to continue, as it did happen. The thing that I saw was, okay, she's down. Okay, is anybody going to come out and check out what's happening? So, I heard you say something about the first crew that came out, the 12 people that circled her up.
Yes.
Whatever it was, that was like 90 seconds late or whatever. And it seemed longer than that, honestly.
90 seconds is a long time.
I know. It seemed longer than that, even though, whatever. But I think that was a little long to be able to come out and see what was going on. And I don't think they needed a crew of 12 people. They definitely needed someone to be like, hey, are you doing all right? That's what I got. Someone, medical, hey, are you able to continue? I don't know. Right. Let me see. Whether she was going to do the jump or not do the jump, again, that's on her to make that decision. John brought up a really good point that if you didn't have to do the step down, she probably wouldn't have stepped on that leg to go down, being the bag leg. Hopped up on the box, made the turn, and came off, because now she'd have to put weight on that leg or step on that leg.
Coming off that box, that was happening no matter what, because she already did it.
Because you couldn't jump you couldn't jump off. You have to step off.
Well, how do you think she hurt it in the first place? She's dropping off a rope.
I'm just saying that if she could have at least jumped to the other leg. It was just an interesting
observation. Step off the bad leg and onto the good leg, but she decided to step off the good leg onto the bad leg.
But to step off onto the good leg, you have to put all the weight on the bad leg.
Right, but what's less of a problem? Stepping off of your bad leg.
She would have had to do a jump with a one leg and then hop off on the good leg and then hop off. Anyway. I'm saying that if she had to try. I am, as an athlete,
That's up to
I
her.
applaud you for trying. Hell
Yeah.
yes. Because every athlete that's out there is going to make a decision like, hey man, I've been training for this to do it. I'm going to do it. And like,
Mhm.
that's how I felt. So if I'm going to go out, I'm going to go out on my terms. That's what I
Yeah.
think. So,
Some of
and
these questions.
well,
Oh,
and we do know that she's had, as Peter's saying here, that like, yeah, she's had them before. She knew,
yeah. Right.
but you're an athlete, man. Like we don't go like, well, if training, yeah, you stop. It's not training
Well,
though. We're
yeah.
competing. If you're gonna go, it's like it's messed up anyway. Might as well finish. So
Yeah.
I'm stoked for her for doing it. Just for her own personal sake. It's all good.
Mhm.
And I don't think that there was anything else to talk about other than I think that the response was a little slow to get out there the first time. But other than that, like sports happen and people get hurt.
Yeah. Well, I agree with the first part. Like it took forever to get to her. However, just so everybody's aware, that is not on CrossFit.
Right.
It is not on the
That was the
event
venue.
directors. That was the venue.
Yeah.
There in that venue in France, you have to have a medical team provided by the Red Cross there. So it's out of CrossFit hands and it was out of the event director's hands. And they had to sit there and wait for the medical team that was third party provided by the venue to do their job because they were not allowed to do so. That's why. Now, as far as letting her compete, if the athlete goes, I'm fine, let me go, I want to keep competing, then fine. If she didn't land on her head and there's no life-threatening injury that was sustained or potentially sustained, you don't step in that. It's up to the athlete.
Right.
Now, everybody was like, clearly she should not continue or even try the box jump as she was limping over there. I'm like, why are we doing this? I know I'm going to tell, before you even get up there, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. And then it happened. You're like, son of a bitch. Like, that's unfortunate. But
Dude, I tell you right now, Chase, if you were in that same situation, you would
I
have jumped on the goddamn box.
I wouldn't have stepped off onto my bad leg. I'll tell you that right now.
Agreed. But I'm saying, like, I know myself when I had to bring. So the one that I went out on was the 10 rounds legless rope climb, and then you had to move the
What
block
round
down.
did you blow it out on?
Third round,
And you finished the workout.
I finished it.
Yeah.
Now I fell 2 or 3 more times during that
Oh, God.
because I didn't know if I could jump.
Yeah.
So like the first jump, I was like, oh, okay, well I can't do that anymore, which means I have to go all the way. I have to pull and go
Yeah.
up. The other was when I made the turn on moving the block down, the chest piece down. I turned in just that little. I could be okay if I was straight, but the second there was any angle of a turn, my leg would just give out. So like you don't sometimes, I mean, and I'm not saying that she shouldn't have known and all of the obvious things. Yeah, you don't use your bad leg. I get it. Like everyone knows that.
I mean, I'm
But
not
there are
belaboring
sometimes
that
where you
point,
just
but
really don't know exactly where it's gonna go out on you. So like she went on that one. It's like, oh, okay, you're down. So at
yeah.
that point, it's like her motion then stopped, and that was when she could go, all right, well, let me think.
Yeah.
But again, mentally her faculties are there, whether she's got, WOD competition brain or not. It still should be her choice. But even at that point, if she fell down, be like, hey, I want to go or I don't want to go. It's my choice.
Right.
Let me choose. And I'm not going to say whether it's a smart reason or a dumb reason. It's on that athlete. Because elite, and I said this on Jason's show, people have to understand that elite level athletics is not fitness. It does not add years onto your life. It takes years off your life when you're at an elite level
Yeah.
athlete. Period. This is not longevity. You are running the wheels off all the time. And that's the dice you roll. You want the fame, you want the fortune, you want the pride, you want all that stuff, and you push your body to do things that it is not supposed to do regularly.
Yeah.
At that volume or whatever. So, again, like I'm all for every athlete that chooses to go. Same thing with Margot deciding to do,
Yeah, she's doing strict ring muscle ups with
3
that
of them,
elbow.
dude. 3.
I was like, what are you doing?
Seriously.
But whatever,
I mean,
plain simple.
Yeah.
All right.
Do we need
As you in her shoes, what would you have done?
I would have continued.
Same with me. On the flip side, should a medical team come in there and remove her from the field of play if she's yelling at them to get away from her, which is what she was doing?
She was saying, "Get away from me."
Yeah.
Then they should have gotten the fuck off the floor.
Now it's the first time, not the second time.
Anytime.
Except
guess
for
what? The time will run out.
Yeah.
So if she chooses to fall multiple times, if she chooses, it's her body to do that.
The second time, I think she realized that it was over.
And at that point, cool.
Yeah.
But I would
first
be the same
time
way.
she was like, she was yelling, but she was also yelling because she was mad because she knew what happened.
Yeah, it sucks.
She wasn't yelling as much as in pain as she was just like yelling of the situation. Because she was whooping everyone's ass in that heat.
Dude, she needed that event too.
I know. I felt so bad.
She needed that event. And I will say, as someone, I mean, she's done it, that it's not, you don't feel the pain. It's a shocking feeling. You hit, you drop, it's a shock. And that adrenaline, it's not like, ow, that hurt. It feels like your knee is out of like it's just out of socket.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's dislocated. I'll pop it back in. That's what it feels like. And there's like a confusion that goes through it. Same thing like when, everyone was bringing up Julie Fouché when she popped her Achilles. It doesn't hurt. It feels like someone hit you at the back of the Achilles. That's what it felt like. Same type of deal. So she wasn't writhing in pain. I mean, it hurts because you're like, oh my God, what is happening with this thing?
Yeah.
Like, damn, or upsetness because she knows. So she's like pissed about it. But yeah, like they need to come out and check. Yes.
Of course they do.
But they don't need to say you're coming off. Hell no. I'd be like, I'd be fighting them. Get away from me. Stop touching me. Get out of my face.
Oh God, the amount of people who you guys just think you know everything in these comments today is shocking. There were pads underneath the ropes. Kevin.
We know that stuff now. We know how to do that stuff now.
Oh Lord,
we take care of that.
2010.
Actually, you know what's funny? That's why I busted mine, because of the pad, because of the mat.
You turned.
Yeah. Because I was starting, like, as I was sliding down, speed roping down, and I was kind of pinching my quads, and so my feet were outside of my knees, and I'm like, okay, now it's time to go. And as I started thinking about turning, my foot hit the mat. I had a little bit of a bend in my knee, and my foot stayed exactly where it was, and it just went.
Oh man,
pop. I know.
I'll address this other thing before we move forward. Is that some people were complaining about them showing what happened on the broadcast.
No, that's fine.
Like, watch a professional sport before you ever open your mouth about commenting on that again. First of all, I hate seeing people get hurt. I do not enjoy it. When it's in the basketball, right? When they're like, here's where their ankle touched the floor and then came back up in slow motion. But we had this conversation at dinner afterwards with some of the MCs and media. We're like, how do you think it got covered? I'm like, fine. Because nothing visually was grotesque. Like, her knee didn't go backwards. It didn't like.
Wasn't Conor McGregor breaking his shin?
There was no broken bones. There was no hyperextended knee. There was no like whip of the. It just she
went down.
Dropped with 2 feet. Her knee gave out. Right, that's where the first injury was sustained. She stepped off the box, but just collapsed immediately. Like, there was nothing bad about it. And the reason why it was also shown again, because we didn't see it in real time when it happened. Yeah. We like cut to her at the rope, and she was on the ground. Same thing on the box.
Yeah.
It's part of it, right? So people wanted to see what happened. Nobody's in there like wants to see someone get hurt, but welcome to sports, people.
Yeah.
All you fans, especially athletes out there that want to become more professional, you have to raise your professionalism too, as a viewer, a consumer, as an athlete.
There was a funny comment made by an interesting little topic point that Halpin brought up yesterday when I was on the show with Jason. It was,
yeah, we didn't show Brooks' elbow again.
Right.
Right.
He was saying that, like, okay, so we see her get hurt. We see all the things. We see her writhing around in pain. We see all this kind of stuff. Maybe we shouldn't have shown that, because right now everyone's talking about how CrossFit is dangerous and how it's going to hurt you. And I go, whoa, like what? That's sport does that. Every sport shows someone getting hurt. Every sport shows someone getting hurt. So it doesn't mean that like now CrossFit's hurts people because someone hurt their knee. They just hurt their knee. And it's up to us and the commentators to explain why or what or whatever happened. I mean, it doesn't show that it is a dangerous sport. It just
Yeah.
shows that it's sport.
Sports.
Done. Like it is.
Sports.
Yeah.
It sucks. I feel bad. I feel so bad for her.
Oh, dude, I my knee was like, up, saw that one.
Yep.
Saw that one.
Yes, Kevin, that part you're right on. Life hurts unless you live, not love, because you can get hurt loving on the couch. Live on the couch. True, but actually the long-term live on the couch hurts more towards the end, but you are correct. You are correct. Yeah, the medical team was slow on the first one, but again, like I said, it has nothing to do with CrossFit or the event directors. The event directors were awesome. What Daniel Chaffee and his crew did there was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Next thing. Not if and when, or not if, but when the games come to Europe, Europe is ready. They've been ready for a long time. After this semifinal, I'll watch the other two, go to the CrossFit Games in Fort Worth. I don't know how long they'll be there, but when the games goes overseas, and I think this weekend is actually a beta test for it.
Test. Yeah.
Is right?
Yeah.
And I think this year's game is the second beta test for it. Can this be done in an arena, all in-house? We don't need multiple competitive venues, and can we do things? When it goes to Europe, I am going, because that is going to be the most insane competition environment, I would argue, and we've been to a lot of them, in the history of the sport. It will be just a raging fan fest.
The battle cry, the rally call that's been going on from Europe saying, is it ever going to come over here? Is it ever going to come over here? Is it ever going to come over here? I think, it's been here for so long that we just, Americans, I'm talking, have just kind of assumed that it's here.
I think we did.
And so we take it for granted now.
Thank you.
And so in Europe, where you have all those countries that are so close together, they're all going to come running, because it's a lot easier for them to get there either by train or by plane or whichever. Mm-hmm. To get to that venue, it will be out of control. Because, dude, semifinals, I mean, we've seen like what Australia's done with their events. I mean, in the crowds that they get, that arena that you were in looked, you can tell better. It looked packed.
Perfect. It was packed to the brim. It was completely sold out, standing room only, and it was perfect. It was perfect. And they could have opened up, they split the back half for the warm-up area. I think there's an upper area of like boxes and maybe one more level. And if they opened that up, suites would have been bought, seats would have been filled. They just had no idea what the response would be. And it was packed, and it was deafening loud. Like the athletes were saying, is like they couldn't hear their judge talking to them.
Oh, no way. That loud?
Dude, when they we'll get into the programming here in a second. When they were like lunging to the finish in that final event with everything that was on the line, it was like jets taking off decibels.
Crazy.
And with noise canceling headsets on, right? I took those off and it made me jump. I was like, oh, that sounds loud. I was like, what? I was like, oh my God. I can't believe it. It was awesome. So Europe is ready. Europe is ready.
Yeah, I could see
Qualify, go crush it at the games. I would say a couple years. Like they got to announce that date like years in advance. Hey, 2027. Ooh, 20-year anniversary of the CrossFit Games. Go overseas.
Man. Wow.
Because we're at, 7. I got to do that. I always get bad at like years math. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So we're at 18 right now. This is the 18th CrossFit Games, so 19, 20. So counting this year, which 2 or 3 years, usually don't sign a 1-year deal for an arena.
That's true.
So maybe the Fort Worth deal is 2 to 3 years. If it's 2, year 20, right? We're at 18, 19, 2 years in Fort Worth to perfect the arena system for the games. And then for the 20th year anniversary of the CrossFit Games, it comes to Europe. And
that would be nuts.
Nuts.
That would be nuts.
The cool thing about Europe, too, is that all the fans are just cheering for their countrymen. Yeah. You don't have that in the United States. You have fans of athletes. Like, I'm Texas. I love Texas. And when people ask me where I'm from when I'm over in France, I say Texas. It's like U.S. is a little crazy right now. Consider myself,
I can't say that. I'm in California.
I consider myself a double American. Because I'm like, where are you from? He's like, American? I'm like, yes, Texas. Like, oh, okay. So like, yep, I'm a double American. Not only am I American, but I'm from Texas. That's like a twofer. But when we're watching it, you're right. I think people, not to any fault of their own, it's just what they've been given. And in the United States specifically, it's everything. You have been given everything as a fan of the sport since the beginning of time, as far as 2007 is concerned.
Because it started here.
Semifinals, because it started here, yeah.
Yeah, locale. Like
everybody lives here. We got to I get it. It wasn't possible.
Party starts here.
Party starts here. However, with whatever the attendance is going to be at semifinals in North America, East and West, it won't be what it was like in Europe. It should be. Like, it should be. The Carson, California tennis stadium and that facility in Knoxville, Tennessee are legit. And if you're not going to the games, like, you should be going to semifinals. Mm-hmm. But the way they cheer, because it's not, hey, let's just say Yella Hosta is doing great, and like the fans of Yella are cheering for him. Anyone from Belgium is cheering for them, right? The stands, and they find each other. There's just this collection of Belgians just sitting in the arena with flags and shirts, and the French had a drummer, just one dude with a drum, and apparently that's a thing. Like, someone started drumming and cheering a chant, and Lucy goes, "The French are here." I was like, "The French are here." It's like, "Oh, okay, this is a thing." Right? And they started like a national anthem chant and the Victor chants. I don't know if you heard those.
Oh, yeah.
Victor.
Yeah.
It was amazing. We don't have that. No one's like, Arizona. Woo.
I think that has a lot to do with like their soccer, their football stuff.
No, 100%. It's totally
like they're rowdy fans.
Yeah, they are rowdy fans.
All of their fans are like Raider fans.
That's it.
You know what I mean?
That's a good one. Yeah.
They're loud, obnoxious. They will yell. They will wear all the colors. They're there, full blown support. They're loud. That's cool. It's fun.
Yeah, it was cool. It was really cool. So, when the games move over there, 20th anniversary would be pretty cool.
That would be sick.
And then just go there. Start planning now, and it'll be great. I'd love to see it. I think it'd be incredible.
That would be fun.
Absolutely incredible. All right, last thing before we jump off here. We're not going to analyze the programming, but seeing it in action. First blush, just reaction to the programming in motion.
I think that for the most part, everything is playing out the way that we kind of called it, as far as like looking at some of the events and some of the issues maybe that we would have seen, or how the run was going to look. Like the run so far is way different because of the way that they're making the course, like that run, that back and forth, like the airport security line.
Yeah.
Like it's not an 800-meter run anymore. Like it changes that. So that does affect, I think, what's going on, because you can't get your good runners to really get up to speed. So I do think it's a little bit different. But what I think has been really interesting to see is with the program, and I'm not talking about like with Laura necessarily,
Yeah.
with Horvath, or like your top people, but like you get past the number 3, 4 person, then you see that the programming is like really exposing a hole where you see, top 5 finishes, boom, 20th place, 18th
Dude,
place,
the guys were like
right?
that across the board. Like every guy in the top 15 had to finish, say, for like 2 or 3, had to finish outside the top 20,
Right. And that's what I
outside the
mean.
top 25. Not the women as much.
I like that to me shows that it's indicative of some decent programming because it's exposing a hole. And it's not like
Mm.
it's not a trick. Like we've looked this up, and I don't think we've seen any like novelty events necessarily. Even the handstand, we thought for sure they had to do something with the handstand. And it was just
Do
like,
you
how
like that it's
fast
just
are
a
you?
straight shot?
I thought it was interesting because, yeah, it was like, all right, we're not going to do a dance. You don't have to like bounce on one hand and do floating handstand pushes. Like,
Yeah.
go really fast on your hands.
Go
Okay.
really fast on your row too. Because if
Right.
you're slow in your hands, you can actually, if
Right.
you push the row,
And
you'd be okay.
even with that, very simplistic, very old schooly CrossFit stuff, we still got people that were being exposed. And I thought that was really, really interesting to see. So, I mean, my first gut reaction is I'm pretty stoked with it. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. So
Thank you, Olson. Olson dudes. I appreciate that. Thank you, guys.
that's very cool.
Yeah. If you guys haven't subscribed to this channel, just hit the button. That's all you have to do. That goes of actually a longer way than you guys think. It's like, does it help? Yes, it does. Hit that. There's 360. Oh my God, 385 people watching. I love that. I love that event. You know what I really did like? Actually, I loved that there was 3 events on Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometime like last year, you were coming into Sunday. We'd already done 5 events. We're like, all right, what's really going to change on Sunday with these 2? Some might, but we get to Sunday and we're only halfway through the competition, and then it was only individual. Sunday was the most fun Sunday I think I've watched in CrossFit.
It was. I think it was actually pretty cool. And I don't know if CrossFit planned on it being this way, like they really actually thought about it, because I haven't seen a whole lot of really in-depth type of thinking for this kind of stuff. But the longest boring event with the least amount of coverage, probably going to have the least amount of people watching on the first day.
Yeah.
Get into some of the cool events right in the beginning on the second day where everyone's kind of getting their feet wet. We have a lot more people now watching. And then you're right, the last day. So now it isn't the classic moving day on Saturday. Moving day is on the last day when it really counts.
Which I
Because you
love.
still have half of the events to go, half of the points to go.
Mm-hmm.
The pressure and the tensions are still going, and it's all packed into one day like that. And you're right. There's a crescendo for sure by the time you get to the end. And that, man, I'll tell you what, the races were exciting. And the lunges did way more than I thought it was going to do. I have never seen that many people go down on the last step.
On the last step, I couldn't believe it.
And then, the insult to injury was they had to pick up those dumbbells and move them back. And see, people taking one at a time or however they went.
The going backwards one was the most demoralizing one. I'm like, just turn around. What are you doing? Just because they said back up does not mean you need to go in reverse.
Yeah, I thought that it was, a lot of the things that there were questions about. It was one of those classic things that it ended up being much better in person than it was on paper.
Yeah.
At least on my initial look at it. It was fun dude, I had fun watching it. And as a fan, and again, we're not talking as a programming coach right here, but as a fan and watching all the races and watching how the points were moving and how the athletes were handling them, it made for a very fun weekend.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty stoked.
What I loved about the programming was the order that they chose. First day, 5 rounds of running outside, clean and jerks. All right, we're testing them. with endurance and barbell cycling, even if it's just singles, you're still cycling after one rep or the other.
Yeah.
The second one being the front squats, just a churning mat. And then the third one, depending between your men and women, like dudes just like blasting through the ropes and just having to crush the bike and the box jump overs, probably more than they were anticipating until the first heat went. Like, oh, son of a bitch.
Right.
I like push on these. And then the women, it was like, who's got the most grip pulling endurance of the bunch? And Emma Tall. Oh my gosh.
Dude. Wow.
That was awesome.
Wow.
So those are just like grinders. And then in the last day of competition, you've got handstand walk. That was the first one, right? The handstand walk race where you're watching people sprint the handstand walks and try to hold a row pace that you know is just putting them in a dark hole. Do it again further. And then that last one across the finish line where there's no room for error. Like if you touch the line, you go back. And there is no room for it. It different feels like, oh, I can come down and it'll be fine. And I think with an obstacle, it takes that pressure off.
Totally. That's what I thought was interesting about that. Yeah.
So you had a great finish there. On the snatch one, you had a great finish there in the last two bars because now instead of being like, oh, I can hit the weight, therefore I win, it's can I hit the weight faster than they can hit the weight? Because everybody can hit the weight now.
Yeah.
So then you had great races there. And then who put this in the chat? Aurori? Yeah. Lunges to the finisher. A lunge to the finish for a final can never, it has never steered us wrong. And with those dumbbells and what was happening on them was incredible.
It was just amazing. I was shocked how much it affected people the way it affected people. Yeah. It was nuts. I mean, we were all talking about like, oh, it'll be so easy. It's got to be too easy to do it just at a suitcase like that. And it murdered people.
Yeah, like I'm glad they didn't do the lunge front rack overhead, like 3 sections, 2 sections, 1. That wasn't happening.
It was great, man. It was so good.
And it was great because if they put that in there, then people are going to take breaks, right? They're going to take breaks. They're going to pace their way through it. The muscle ups aren't going to mean as much because everyone's like the last 12 feet. That's it. And now it's like, all right, dudes, race the bike 45 seconds or less. Everyone's going unbroken on the muscle ups. There is no choice. And no one's really faster or slower there. So you're either going to make up time on the bike, knowing you're going to pay for it on the lunge, but you don't have a choice. You don't have a choice.
Yeah, I liked it that it made the race rather than the pace between the two.
Yep.
And we've talked about that a lot of times too. It's like when someone goes to do like a heavy Fran versus a regular Fran, it's like, oh yeah, I'm so tough. It's like, no, you're just going slow. It's like, so they made it easy enough to where it's like, okay, now you need to go fast.
Right.
Like you don't, you want to pace it? Fine. You can pace it. You're going to lose. Mm-hmm. You are forced to race it now.
And the hardest part about the 100s and the 70s for the women, yes, it's the weight, but it's the width of the dumbbell handle that it was crushing people. So all you people that use grips when you do farmer carries, you cheating, untrained SOBs.
Bitches.
Like the whole point of a farmer carry is this grip. Like, well, if I use my grips, it's not as hard. It's like, it's not pull-ups.
Right.
That's the movement. I'll close out with this. And I think Heinrich Happelainen, who's just doing the most Finnish European thing as they do. It's just flying underneath the radar quietly. When he went across the finish line and stood there on the finish mat
with the dumbbells,
and just was the coldest, most badass thing I have seen anyone from Europe do ever. Especially someone from Finland. They're very quiet people. They're not braggadocious. They're not in the limelight. And Happelainen just slides underneath the radar and gets, third this year? He was second last year at the semifinals. I don't know if anybody even remembers that. And then he's like does well across the games. But while Bronislav Alenkowicz is getting absolutely manhandled by dumbbells at the end of the lunge, 100 climb up the line and just lunges across the finish line, stands there, and that shot they had of him, I hope the media team takes that and just that's a new thing in the rotation for games promos is him just sitting on the mat, holding the dumbbells and just being like, nah,
nothing.
Y'all can't break.
Nothing.
This is nothing. You see the carnage behind me? Nah. Nice try. I was like, damn, bro. That was the coolest thing I've seen in a long time.
Yeah. And it was great to see, not great to see Braun go down, but what his whole thing is. He is a beastly strong guy that does unparalleled kettlebell swing type things
remember
over anybody.
Dubai?
Yeah.
It's
Dubai
nuts
with the kettlebells. What that guy can do.
First sighting of Bronislav, we're like, who is this guy with these damn kettlebells? Then you look at it, it's like he's from Poland. I'm like, oh, okay.
And that's all he does is kettlebells. And then, he fails on the last rep, like falls to the ground, fails.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Hapalainen just goes and just comes across and dude, it looked like it was like that. He was like resting. Gets there and he's like, what? Is there not more?
Yeah.
Is that all you got? It was
What is it? Is there no one else?
Huh? Are you not entertained?
Yes. That's why you are here. I know I just combined two movies, but whatever. You guys get it. All in all, man, I tell you what, week one to me is like there's a class presentation and I just went behind the smart kid. And like, Chase, you're next. I'm like, gosh darn it.
Dang it. Yep.
Dang it. Like week 2 is going to be great. We got Torium Pro. We've got the West. Like it's going to be great. But man, they got a lot to live up to. That's for sure.
Yeah, they do.
Athletes, fans, broadcast alike. Good luck out there, everyone.
Go get them.
All right, team. Thanks for joining us on a Wednesday. We'll be back. We probably won't be back, I guess, during the week because semifinals kicks off again on Friday. Mm-hmm. Go watch Adrian Conway on the CrossFit Games podcast. That'll be covering the action. I think you'll be able to see people run, so there'll be an improvement on week 1's coverage. And then don't forget to play the Heat 1 app. I did not play this. Did you play last week?
No, I didn't. I totally got late on it. I'm going to be all over this one, though.
I am. So go play the Heat 1 app. You guys can. They're giving away. Well, I'll just show you what they're giving away because they have a nice little commercial before we leave.
The Heat 1 app. Heat 1 app. The Heat 1 app.
All right, download the Heat 1 app. It's on my phone. I'm already making my picks.
I'm doing it.
After watching the first week go down, I'm like, oh, this might favor this type of athlete or that one. You've got the shot collar, which you can pick per event the athlete you want to, and apparently you can pick the athlete every event if you'd like to. There's no, I don't like that. I like when you don't get to pick, Tia Toomey for every event. I like that. Right. And then there's the top 12 you can pick. So you can rank your top 12 men, top 12 women. Who do you think is going to make the cuts? Less spots in the West than any other big region for sure. So download that. Make sure you guys play. Hit the like button before you guys leave. Please subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell. It'll remind you when we go live. And then all 300 plus of you guys, which thank you so much. And just one more time, just thank you to everybody who watched the coverage this weekend. Thank you for the kind words. It actually got very recognized by the media team about you guys and what you said about the broadcast and myself specifically. It actually came to me from them. So they're watching, they're reading, they get it. And I like in my heart, thank you so much for all the support. Thank you support for the show. And thank you, Colton Mertens, for all the kind words you said. And good luck to the Iron Hog in the West. He's in my top. I've got him.
Hell yeah.
Got him qualifying. All right, guys. Good luck to all the athletes competing this weekend. We'll probably see you guys on some coverage here and there. And the Savon podcast will be covering with the whole crew is going to be on site pre-shows every day while you're there. So if you're in Carson, go find them. Go watch the Torium Pro. It's going to be a hell of a weekend. Thank you guys for joining us. Congrats to everybody that made the games week 1, and good luck to all those trying to make it in week 2.